In a cozy little house on Maple Street lived the Johnson family. Dad, Mom, and their cheerful baby Lily filled the home with laughter and love. Each day followed a comfortable routine that everyone enjoyed. Mornings started with the soft sounds of birds chirping outside as sunlight streamed through the windows. Dad would sip his coffee while Mom prepared breakfast, all while keeping an eye on Lily's sleepy face in her crib. If you enjoy this video, please like the video and subscribe for more, and tell me where you are watching from today. I always find it awesome to see where all my viewers are watching from. Let's get back to the video. After breakfast, Dad often took on the task of checking on Lily using their nursery camera. This camera was not just a gadget. It was a window into their daughter's world. It let him peek at her adorable expressions and playful movements while she napped or cooed in her crib. It gave him peace of mind, knowing he could see her from anywhere in the house. Lily loved her nap times. She would drift off to sleep with a tiny smile on her face, clutching her favorite stuffed bear. That bear was always by her side, ready for any adventures they might have together in dreamland. But there was another member of the family who added an extra layer of excitement to their daily lives. Whiskers, their playful cat. Whiskers had a fluffy coat of gray fur and big green eyes that sparkled with mischief. She was known for her curious nature and loved exploring every nook and cranny of the house. Often, she would follow Dad around the house or curl up next to Lily during nap time. As part of his routine, Dad would check the nursery camera regularly while he worked on chores or enjoyed moments of quiet time with a book. He liked to imagine what Lily was dreaming about during those peaceful naps, and often chuckled at how adorable she looked when she was lost in slumber. One sunny afternoon, after finishing lunch, Dad decided to take a quick peek at the nursery camera again. He settled into his favorite chair in the living room, picked up his phone, and opened the app connected to the camera. He expected to see Lily dreaming away peacefully, but instead found something unexpected. The screen showed Whiskers inching closer to Lily's crib, with an air of curiosity that only cats possess. Her ears perked up as she cautiously approached the edge of the crib, peering over as if trying to figure out what this little creature was doing, sleeping so soundly beneath her watchful gaze. Dad couldn't help but smile at Whiskers' antics as he watched through the screen. It became clear that today might be different from other days. He leaned forward in his chair, intrigued by what might happen next. Would Whiskers simply sniff around, or perhaps do something even more daring? Excitement bubbled inside him as he realized that this moment could lead to an adventure unlike any they had experienced before. A mix of mischief from Whiskers and heartwarming moments between a curious cat and a sleeping baby awaited him. Little did he know that this simple check-in would turn into one unforgettable story for their family album. Whiskers, the Johnsons' fluffy gray cat, had a personality that was as vibrant as her shimmering green eyes. She was not your ordinary house cat. Her curiosity and mischief knew no bounds. With her soft fur and playful demeanor, Whiskers was always ready for an adventure. Whether it meant chasing after dust motes, dancing in the sunlight, or pouncing on stray pieces of yarn that rolled off the coffee table, she could turn an ordinary day into a whirlwind of excitement. Everyone in the family adored her, especially little Lily, who would giggle every time Whiskers pranced around the room. It was as if they shared a special bond. Whiskers would often curl up next to Lily during nap times, providing the perfect combination of comfort and companionship. But it wasn't just Lily who appreciated Whiskers' company. Dad and Mom found joy in watching their spirited cat explore every corner of their home. Whiskers had her favorite spots for lounging and observing the world around her. The big bay window was one of her prized locations, where she would sit for hours, watching the birds outside with focused attention. Her twitching tail indicated her desire to leap after them, even though they were far beyond her reach. Each day, she transformed mundane moments into thrilling escapades. From aggressively chasing shadows on the wall to nimbly climbing bookshelves in search of mislaid treasures. Her love for adventure often got her into tricky situations. Once, she managed to squeeze herself behind the pantry shelves while chasing a rogue piece of food that had fallen during one of Dad's cooking sessions. When Dad finally found her after looking everywhere else, she simply blinked at him with her wide eyes as if saying, "What's the big deal?" There was something undeniably charming about how she embraced life with such fearless enthusiasm. One of Whisker's most endearing traits was her knack for problem-solving. No cardboard box was safe from her investigative nature. The moment she spotted a new package arriving at their doorstep, Whiskers would dart over and inspect its contents. Her tiny paws would bat at flaps while she peered inside, looking very much like a furry detective on a mission. As Dad prepared for another peek at the nursery camera, he felt a wave of curiosity wash over him as well. Whiskers seemed to sense something was happening, a shift in the atmosphere as she pranced toward Lily's room. There was an air of mischief surrounding her at that moment, something playful yet innocent that filled the home with excitement. In many ways, Whiskers served as both entertainer and guardian. While she roamed freely through their lives, there was an invisible thread connecting her antics to the family's happiness. Her playful spirit enriched each day and made every curious exploration feel like part of an ongoing story that intertwined their lives together. As Dad watched through the camera feed, he couldn't help but wonder what kind of trouble or joy Whiskers might create as she approached Lily's crib at that very moment. Would she gently investigate, or perhaps bring about some unexpected chaos? Whatever it was going to be, Dad knew that Whiskers had an endless supply of surprises just waiting to unfold. The afternoon sunlight streamed through the living room window, casting warm golden rays across the soft carpet. Dad took a moment to stretch and sip his coffee, enjoying the calm that filled the house while Lily napped. The gentle sounds of her breathing echoed throughout the Johnson home, creating a soothing backdrop that invited relaxation. It was during these quiet moments that Dad often felt most connected to Lily, even from a distance. As he settled into his favorite armchair, Dad glanced at the nursery camera app on his phone. He had gotten into the habit of checking it regularly whenever Lily was sleeping, partly because he loved to see her peaceful expression, but also because it gave him a chance to enjoy some downtime as he watched her tiny self roll slightly in her sleep or snuggle deeper into her blanket. He tapped on the app, his heart light with anticipation. "Let's see what my little angel is up to," he muttered playfully. The screen flickered to life, displaying a perfect view of the nursery. Soft pastel colors filled the frame, the walls adorned with cute animal decals and shelves filled with toys waiting to be played with upon waking. At that moment, though, it was all about Lily. She lay nestled in her crib, her small hands resting gracefully beside her head, as if she were dreaming of whimsical adventures. Dad could almost hear her giggles as she basked in a world created by imagination alone. A world where soft bears came to life and stars twinkled just for her. But before Dad could get lost in thought about what kind of dreams Lily might be having, something unexpected caught his eye. A slow movement in the corner of the screen drew his attention away from the idyllic scene of snoozing innocence. Whiskers had appeared. There she was, weaving quietly across the nursery floor like a furry little shadow. Whiskers approached Lily's crib with hesitant steps. Instantly, excitement bubbled within Dad. Would she curl up next to her like she often did? Or would she dare to investigate what this sleeping baby was really like? The imagination raced through Dad's mind as he leaned closer to his phone screen. He leaned forward in anticipation, grinning at the delightful sight that was unfolding before him. Whiskers, now at the edge of the crib, stood perfectly still while maintaining that inquisitive look on her face. Ears perked up and eyes wide open. It almost seemed as if she grasped that this was an opportunity for some playful adventure they could share together. Nidada Howadaster couldn't help but chuckle softly at the thought of Whiskers' playful demeanor and how it contrasted with Lily's serene nap time. Here was this spunky little cat. Normal days were far from enough for her, always seeking out joy and fun wherever she could find it. As Whiskers slowly leaned over the crib's edge and peered at Lily's sleeping face with both curiosity and caution, Dad wondered what fate awaited them both. Would today bring forth laughter or mischief? As he settled back into his chair, he realized this picture-perfect nap time had turned into something far more exciting than he ever anticipated, all thanks to their curious cat and his sweet little girl sleeping blissfully unaware nearby. As Dad watched through the nursery camera, there was a moment of stillness that filled him with anticipation. Whiskers, with her big bright eyes and twitching tail, was now at the edge of Lily's crib. She seemed both curious and cautious, as if she were contemplating a playful mission. Dad held his breath, leaning forward in his chair, almost feeling as if he were a spy observing an important mission unfold right before his eyes. Suddenly, with a swift move, Whiskers pounced onto the side of the crib. In that very instant, Dad's heart skipped a beat. He couldn't believe what he was witnessing. Was she really going to hop into the crib? The sweet, napping scene had just taken a turn towards something unexpected. Before Dad could process this shocking moment, Whiskers gently placed her front paws on the edge of the crib, her face inches from Lily's. If this cat was going to make a commotion, it would surely be loud enough to wake Lily from her peaceful slumber. "Oh no," Dad whispered under his breath, his mind racing with scenarios. What would happen if she startled Lily awake? Would their calm afternoon turn to chaos in an instant? But Whiskers had another plan in mind. Instead of jumping into the crib or nudging Lily awake, she simply leaned in closer and sniffed at her tiny baby feet peeking out from under the blanket. The gentle kiss of Whiskers' nose against Lily's foot caught Dad off guard. A soft giggle escaped Lily's lips without waking her completely, just enough to let him know she was still dreaming peacefully. Dad's eyes widened even more as he witnessed that exchange. Two worlds colliding in an adorable moment of curiosity between cat and baby. Yet, as enchanting as it was, Whiskers' attention began shifting again. Suddenly, something new glimmered across the room and caught her eye, a reflection bouncing off the nightlight. In a flash, Whiskers turned away from the crib and bounded across the nursery floor like a rocket launched into space. The soft padding of her paws against the carpet made little noise, but Dad's heart raced as he followed her movements on his phone screen. His heart sank while also filling with amusement. Dear little Whiskers was always up for a chase. Without warning, she leaped onto the shelf, where Lily's toys were neatly arranged. One by one, small stuffed animals tumbled down like a rainbow-colored avalanche. Plush bears and bunnies rolled over each other in slow-motion chaos on their descent to the floor. Dad couldn't help but burst into laughter as he imagined how dramatic it must have looked from another view. The sudden noise stirred Lily, who stirred slightly in her sleep but remained blissfully unaware of the mini-drama unfolding around her. Whiskers suddenly found herself overwhelmed by the explosion of cuddly toys surrounding her legs. With wide eyes and slowing movement, She looked puzzled about what had just transpired. As Dad chuckled at the unfolding insanity, his baby still sleeping peacefully despite all this ridiculousness, he realized this moment had become an unforgettable part of their story together. This wasn't just any day. It was one that would go down in Johnson family history as the day Whiskers went wild. How extraordinary this day turned out to be. All thanks to nothing more than a curious cat seeking adventure while her best friend slept nearby. As Whiskers stood amidst the pile of toys scattered across the nursery floor, her playful spirit was far from satisfied. The tiny avalanche of plush animals had only ignited her curiosity further. With a flick of her tail, she took off on another adventure, her mind racing with ideas for exploration. Dad watched in delight as Whiskers began her antics, completely captivated by the scene unfolding before him. With graceful leaps, she bounded toward the nearest shelf, where all of Lily's colorful stuffed animals were lined up neatly. The plush bunny with floppy ears seemed to call out to her like a beacon of fun. Without a moment's hesitation, Whiskers pawed at the bunny, which tipped over and rolled onto the carpet. This small act unleashed a wave of enthusiasm within the mischievous cat. Whiskers quickly followed suit, knocking over another toy, a cheerful bear with a big grin. It tumbled just beside the little bunny, and in no time, Whiskers was in full-blown play mode. She darted around like a whirlwind, swatting at toys and chasing after them as if they were birds fluttering away from her grasp. Dad couldn't help but giggle when he saw her leap after one toy and then pounce dramatically once she caught it between her paws. Her exploration continued as she turned her attention back toward Lily's crib again. With a swift hop, she jumped onto the side rail of the crib as if it were an obstacle course designed just for her. It seemed that climbing into the crib was not too far-fetched for this adventurous feline. Dad leaned closer to his phone screen, gluing his eyes to every movement that Whiskers made. Once perched atop the crib's edge, Whiskers curiously tilted her head down to get an even better look at Lily's peaceful face. She breathed softly. Their connection felt genuine, even in this playful chaos. But just when you thought it couldn't get any more entertaining, she spotted one of Lily's rattles lying next to her. A bright yellow star that sparkled in the soft light filtering through the window. Without missing a beat, Whiskers reached down with delicate paws and batted at the rattle with delightful force, causing it to jingle merrily. The sound echoed through the room like music. However brief or faint, it was enough to stir something deep within Lily's subconscious dreams. She wiggled slightly and smiled again in her sleep. In true cat fashion, Whiskers was now enthralled by this newfound source of noise and joy. As more rattles rocked and swayed under her playful nudges, both baby and cat created a gentle exchange filled with laughter, if only they knew. At that point, Dad let out a hearty laugh that could have shaken walls. How hilarious this situation had become. From exploring shelves to climbing into cribs filled with innocence and joy, brought forth by an adventurous spirit, Whiskers had turned an ordinary afternoon into an unforgettable spectacle loaded with humor and heartwarming moments that tied their lives together beautifully. It was clear that today would be etched fondly in their memories forever. The day when Whiskers decided to create mischief while nurturing sweet laughter amidst love and serenity. Finally, feeling satisfied with all the chaos she had caused and noticing Lily still asleep despite it all, made Whiskers decide to curl up inside the crib beside her little friend. What began as innocent curiosity had transformed their shared space into something truly magical. Companionship intertwined with adventure. All because one playful cat had sought out fun one adorable afternoon. As Dad continued to observe the lively scene through the nursery camera, his emotions danced between laughter and concern. Whiskers was a whirlwind of energy, and each little move made Dad's heart pound with both joy and anxiety. What are you up to now, you silly cat? He muttered under his breath, a smile spreading across his face as he leaned closer to watch. When Whiskers took her daring leap onto the edge of the crib, Dad's amusement was momentarily replaced with panic. "Oh no," he gasped, his voice barely above a whisper. He could hardly believe that she was so close to Lily. His brow furrowed, and a wave of worry washed over him. What if Whiskers got too curious and accidentally disturbed Lily? Or worse, what if she decided to jump right into the crib? These thoughts raced through his mind as he kept glued to the screen. Yet as soon as he thought it couldn't get any more nerve-wracking, Whiskers gently sniffed at Lily's tiny foot instead of causing trouble. Watching this sweet interaction made Dad's heart swell with love and relief. Phew, she's just being a curious kitty. He chuckled softly, his initial fears easing as he saw their gentle connection unfold. However, just when Dad started to relax again, Whiskers became enamored with Lily's rattles. With every enthusiastic swat at the bright yellow star rattle, Dad felt himself oscillating again between laughter and concern. As the rattle jingled loudly in the otherwise silent nursery, Lily stirred slightly but remained asleep. "That's it. Go on and wake her up," Dad said through teasing laughter while shaking his head in disbelief at how whimsical this entire scenario had become. As chaos escalated around him, stuffed toys rolling across the floor, Whiskers dramatically pouncing from shelf to crib. Dad found himself alternating between fits of giggles and gasps of disbelief. At one point, when a particularly large plush bear hit the ground with a soft thud near Lily's crib, he blurted out, "Whiskers, be careful." His heart raced again. Surely this playful dance couldn't continue without something unexpected happening. But every time his worries bubbled back up, they were quickly overshadowed by the joy of seeing Whiskers' antics lightening up their day. It was hard not to laugh when she curled up amid all of Lily's toys, seemingly oblivious to how much fun she had caused, or how easily she could have woken up an unsuspecting baby. With each passing moment that turned from panic back into humor, Dad marveled at how this simple afternoon had transformed into an action-packed event in their home. All these mixed emotions left him in stitches. Who knew overseeing nap time could become such an adventure? "Okay," he finally whispered with an affectionate grin as he watched their playful encounter unfold before him. "Just be gentle with her." But deep down inside, he knew that today would become one of those cherished memories they'd always look back on fondly. A day filled with equal parts laughter and love. A day defined by mischief brought on by none other than their adventurous cat, Whiskers. As Whiskers settled down next to Lily once more, Dad took a deep breath, feeling grateful for moments like these that tied their family together. Unexpected yet delightful reminders of life's spontaneous joys. Just when Dad thought he had witnessed all the mischief Whiskers could create, the playful cat managed to surprise him once again. After a few moments of quiet exploration, Whiskers turned her attention to a soft, colorful blanket that lay carelessly draped over the rocking chair in the corner of the nursery. The blanket was adorned with bright stars and moons, making it visually appealing for a curious cat like her. With her usual zest for adventure, Whiskers approached the blanket, her eyes wide with intrigue. She gave it a tentative sniff, then suddenly pounced onto it as if it were a sleeping dragon lying in wait. The moment she landed, she went into play mode, rolling and wrestling with the fabric as if it were the most exciting toy in the world. "Oh no, what are you up to now?" Dad chuckled, leaning closer to the screen, captivated by the sight. Whiskers twisted and turned, batting at the edges of the blanket with her paws. only to become increasingly tangled in its folds. Dad's laughter erupted as he watched her try to free herself from the colorful trap she had created. In her frantic attempts to escape, Whiskers leaped up only to find herself wrapped tighter in the blanket. She looked like a little furry burrito, her head poking out one end while paws flailed helplessly at the other. "You silly cat," Dad said between giggles, his heart warming at the sight of her antics. This was turning into yet another unforgettable moment in their day. Whiskers seemed undeterred by her predicament. Instead of giving up, she opted for a different approach. With sheer determination, she made a clumsy run toward Lily's crib, blankets still wrapped around her. Looking like she was performing some kind of acrobatic trick. However, as she sped across the room, the blanket trailed behind her like a cape fluttering in the wind. Dad's concern returned slightly as he thought about how close Whiskers was getting to Lily while being unable to see properly due to the blanket. "Careful, Whiskers. You don't want to wake Lily," he exclaimed, half laughing and half worrying about what chaos might ensue next. As if on cue, Whiskers stumbled awkwardly near the crib and lost her balance. She tumbled head over paws into a heap right next to Lily's sleeping figure. In that moment of clumsiness, Dad's heart dropped. He held his breath as time seemed to slow down. Would this be enough to disturb Lily's nap? To his surprise and relief, Lily barely stirred. Instead, she simply shifted slightly, perhaps sensing the soft thud of Whiskers landing nearby. Meanwhile, Whiskers' panic shifted quickly from fear to delight as she wiggled out of the blanket's embrace and found herself nose to nose with Lily's stuffed giraffe instead. Dad couldn't hold back any longer. He burst into laughter. The sight of Whiskers sprawled amidst toys and blankets beside Lily was just too funny. "What a day. I can't believe this is happening," he chuckled to himself while wiping tears of joy from his eyes. After shaking off the remains of the blanket and nudging toys here and there with renewed energy, Whiskers finally settled down beside Lily once more, completely oblivious to how much chaos she had just caused in their little world. Dad sighed contentedly, realizing that these spontaneous moments filled with love and laughter had become an integral part of their lives together as a family. This afternoon would certainly go down in Johnson family history as one marked by delightful chaos. The perfect blend of mischief and tenderness that only Whiskers could bring into their home. As the sun began to dip lower in the sky, casting a warm glow throughout the nursery, the peaceful quiet was suddenly broken by the soft sounds of cooing. Dad's eyes widened as he realized Lily was waking up. He had been so entertained by Whiskers that he almost missed the moment she stirred. Curious, he leaned closer to his phone to see what would happen next. Lily blinked sleepily, her small hands stretching above her head as she yawned widely. For a few seconds, she simply looked around, trying to make sense of her surroundings. The first thing she noticed was Whiskers sprawled out beside her, still half tangled in the colorful blanket, but seemingly content. With wide-eyed wonder, Lily's gaze fixed on the playful cat. As if sensing that she had an audience, Whiskers immediately perked up and began re-engaging with her surroundings, playfully batting at the remnants of fabric still clinging to her fur. Dad watched in awe as Lily's sleepy demeanor shifted into pure delight. The small giggles bubbled up from deep within her as she reached out a tiny hand toward Whiskers. "Look at that," Dad exclaimed under his breath, already feeling a rush of warmth fill his heart at this beautiful moment unfolding before him. It was clear that Lily recognized her furry friend and felt a joyful connection to her. Whiskers, ever the entertainer, seemed to take this recognition as an invitation to continue her playful performance. She wiggled free from the blanket's hold and sprang upright, presenting herself like a playful kitten ready for action. Without hesitating, she began darting back and forth next to Lily's crib. This sudden burst of energy caught Lily's full attention. Her eyes sparkled with glee as she clapped her hands together in admiration of Whiskers' antics. "Kitty, Kitty!" she squealed in delight, sitting up straighter in her crib while bouncing slightly with excitement. Every leap of Whiskers brought more giggles from Lily. Dad chuckled aloud, knowing there couldn't be a cuter sight than their little girl reveling in the silly show put on by their curious cat. In a swift motion, representative of playful cats everywhere, Whiskers leapt onto one of the plush toys that had previously tumbled down from the shelf, now serving as an improvised stage, and pretended to perform an exaggerated dance. The nursery filled with laughter as Daddy witnessed this heartwarming scene unfold through the camera feed. Whiskers playfully pulled at a nearby stuffed giraffe and nuzzled against it affectionately while glancing back at Lily for approval, as if she were performing just for her. With each playful swat and silly pounce made by Whiskers in midair, sprinkled harmoniously with Lily's giggles, the atmosphere radiated joy and love. It felt perfect, a delightful bonding experience blossoming between two friends who shared their world through whimsy and innocence. For Dad, that brief yet enchanting moment was something special, a reminder of how simple joys could connect their little family even more deeply than before. He didn't realize until now just how profoundly moments like these could shape memories amongst love and laughter. As their cheerful exchange continued, Dad found himself lost in thought about all they'd been through today. The mischief and surprises all culminating here in such unfiltered joy shared between his baby girl and their beloved cat. It felt like magic. It truly was, a moment he would carry in his heart forever. As the laughter and joy filled the nursery, Dad's heart swelled with happiness, watching Lily and Whiskers share their special moment. But soon, a flicker of concern crept back into his mind as he noticed how close Whiskers was getting to the edge of the crib. The playful cat, still brimming with energy, was darting around and climbing on toys, which made Dad uneasy. He couldn't help but worry that Whiskers might accidentally knock something over, or worse, that she might leap too close to Lily and startle her. With a deep breath, Dad made his decision. "Okay, it's time to step in," he said softly to himself as he set down his phone and hurried toward the nursery. He needed to ensure both Lily and Whiskers were safe from any potential mischief that could turn their delightful playtime into chaos. As he entered the nursery, the sight before him was even more charming in person. There was Lily clapping her hands in delight while giggling at Whiskers' silly antics. The little cat had just performed a daring leap onto another plush toy, which sent it tumbling across the floor like a rolling ball. But amid all this joy lay a hint of danger. Dad could see how precariously close Whiskers was getting to the edge of the crib with each playful bound. "Hey there, little buddy," Dad said gently as he approached them. He knelt beside Lily's crib, his voice calm and reassuring. "I think it's time for some supervision." Lily looked up at him with bright eyes filled with excitement, while Whiskers paused mid-pounce to curiously inspect Dad's arrival. Dad reached out carefully to scoop up Whiskers, who looked slightly surprised, but quickly settled into his arms as if she recognized that it was all part of the fun. "Don't worry, you can still be part of the show," he chuckled while holding her gently away from the crib's edge. He then placed Whiskers on a soft blanket nearby, where she could still see Lily while being safe from any potential tumbles or accidents near the crib. "This way, you can keep entertaining us without causing trouble," he added playfully as he took a seat on the floor next to them. Lily squealed in delight at this new arrangement, her face lighting up with pure joy as she watched Whiskers stretch out comfortably on her blanket. The playful cat began grooming herself nonchalantly, making silly faces at Lily, who couldn't stop giggling at her furry friend. Feeling satisfied that both were now safe, Dad leaned back against the wall and smiled warmly at this endearing scene unfolding before him once more. "Look at you two, best friends forever," he said out loud while capturing these precious moments in his mind. Whiskers resumed her playful antics on the blanket, pawing at imaginary mice only she could see, while Lily clapped along and chimed in with delighted giggles. It seemed like every time Dad intervened for safety, their bond only grew stronger. It was evident that these playful exchanges were vital for building trust between them all. In that moment of laughter and love, a true family moment, Dad felt grateful for both his daughter and their mischievous little cat. He knew that every playful encounter like this would become cherished memories woven into their family story. A tapestry rich with laughter and heartfelt connection among three unique friends learning together through adventure. As the afternoon sun began to set, casting a soft golden light throughout the nursery, Dad reflected on the delightful events of the day. Watching Lily and Whiskers together had been a joyful experience filled with laughter, surprises, and heart-warming moments that he would cherish forever. He marveled at the unique bond that could form between pets and children, one that was often filled with hilarity and spontaneous joy. It was incredible how Whiskers, their playful gray cat, had become such an important part of their family dynamic. Her antics not only entertained Lily, but also brought out a side of her that was pure delight. The way Lily clapped her tiny hands in excitement or erupted into fits of giggles at Whiskers' silly behavior was a reminder of how simple interactions could illuminate everyday life. Dad knew that this bond held a special magic. Whiskers seemed to instinctively understand how to engage with Lily, effortlessly bringing laughter into their home. Whether it was the way she playfully batted at toys or leaped across the room in pursuit of imaginary prey, each moment showcased her playful spirit while simultaneously nurturing Lily's growing sense of wonder about the world around her. He thought back to the times when children and pets had sparked joyful chaos together, like when Whiskers tangled herself in blankets or knocked over plush toys during her spirited escapades. These moments were not just amusing. They painted a picture of friendship between them that would grow deeper over time. Each laugh and giggle echoed with memories that would last a lifetime. Watching Lily and Whiskers interact reminded Dad how important companionship is for both children and animals. The innocence of childhood combined with the playful nature of pets creates a beautiful synergy that fosters emotional growth and happiness. He could already envision all the future adventures they would share, the games they'd play, the lessons they'd learn from one another, and all the hilarious mishaps yet to come. Dad smiled at the thought, grateful for how this playful cat enriched their lives. It was as if Whiskers had a natural talent for turning ordinary days into extraordinary ones, filled with laughter and love. Their family was fortunate to have her around. She was more than just a pet. She was a beloved member who brought joy to every day. In moments like these, he realized how vital it was to encourage this bond between them. As he sat back against the wall, observing both his daughter and their curious cat, he understood that these experiences were not just fleeting events, but rather building blocks for lasting relationships. They were teaching Lily about empathy, responsibility, playfulness, and most importantly, love. As Dad watched Whiskers nuzzle against Lily's side while she giggled uncontrollably at another playful move, he felt his heart swell with gratitude. These precious interactions were what made family life so rich, filled with unexpected joy arising from simple connections. in that cozy nursery filled with laughter and love. Dad knew that moments like this would become cherished memories woven into their family story, a tapestry marked by friendship between a little girl and her furry companion. It was clear. Pets have an incredible ability to spark joy in children's lives while offering endless laughter along the way.